Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. I'm your host Sergej, and today with me I have Sergej.
Hello.
So, what are we talking about, Sergej, today? Wait, what are we talking about today, Sergej? That works better.
Okay. Is Stellar Connell... Fuck. Connell... Can't pronounce that word, man.
Well, what it says in our notes is colonization, but I originally said was colonialization.
Thanks.
Which, that second one, I can grant you is a bit harder, but colonization doesn't strike me as that hard.
It isn't, but somehow I'm just unable to pronounce it right now. I don't know why.
Just think of taking a shit, okay? It's colon. Okay, I think it comes from colony, but you know. Potato. Which is, okay. By the way.
Okay.
Does anyone actually say potato?
Never heard it.
Right? Why is it not tomato? At least people actually say tomato.
I don't know.
Brits, I think, say that, right? Like,
Bro.
any Brits in the comments, like, let me know, but, like... Sergej, do we need space to survive?
Like, I'd lean to yes, but I don't think it's 100% necessary. Maybe.
I mean, the way things are going, I would feel a lot safer if, for the human race if we did, in fact, have extraterrestrial colonies. I was trying to overcomplicate it, okay? Colonizations? That doesn't even make sense. Yes, colonies. Moon, Mars, Titan, Europa. Wait, was Titan one that we were considering? I forget.
I don't know.
I think so, right? Titan is livable-ish. Like, not actually like we could currently just go there and take our helmets off and live there, but like, I think it's within the Goldilocks zone, like, at least most of the time. I feel like it's a problem with moons, right?
I don't know.
Like, their distance from the sun would fluctuate a lot more than their planets, and they would have a planet in between them and the sun sometimes. Wait,
Wonder how the seasons would be.
I mean, I guess this...
Like, if we actually terraform it to be...
Yeah.
Like, to have oxygen... and soil to plant stuff.
I suppose it depends both on whether it turns in its orbit around the sun, or if it's or if it always has the same side facing the planet. Like our moon, for example. I don't know if moons always do that, right? So planets, I know a lot of them. Well, the Earth, for example, rotates around itself, and of course around the sun. Our moon rotates around the Earth, but always has the same side facing us, I believe.
Yes.
Which creates the whole dark side of the moon thing, because, like, one side is always facing the sun, whenever it's not blocked by the Earth, and one side is never facing the sun. There's the dark side of the moon.
Well, yes, but isn't it more as a perspective from Earth thing that we from Earth just don't see one side of the moon?
Oh, well, right, yes, I think it always has the same orientation towards the Earth. It doesn't have anything to do with the sun.
Yes.
So if it rotates around the Earth, it would still... Because... I think so. I'm trying to figure out if there's a certain point in its rotation where it would be behind the Earth, always, creating spots that would never actually get sunlight, though.
Maybe, but full moon is a thing.
Yes. Yeah, but you only get a full moon. Well, I mean, I suppose the moon always... I was about to say you only get a full moon whenever the moon is on one side of the Earth, but it's like, well, you know, like in another place you would get, yeah. Honestly, the problem with that is we're looking at the Earth rotating around itself, around the sun, and then we're looking at 3 rotations, right? And this is freaking 3-dimensional geometry, and as we've discussed previously, my visualization is not very good. So this is, I can't fully picture the exact relation of the moon towards the sun at any point in its orbit that well. So...
I mean, you can abstract this one to just have the Earth stationary, the sun stationary, and just have the moon rotate around itself and around the Earth.
Well, it's not
just
rotating
2
around
rotations.
itself, though.
It is.
Is it? I thought it
would always face a different side, from our perspective.
No, we always
it's
see the same side of the moon. No matter...
Well, yes, because it's rotating around itself at the same speed as it rotates around the Earth.
No, it doesn't. It always faces the Earth on the same side, I'm pretty sure. Let's see.
Well, yes.
Luna.
And that is because it rotates around itself at the same, speed and angle. It's hard to describe it. As it rotates around the Earth.
I don't like, and I've noticed this before, but I still made the same mistake, right? That if you type Luna into Wikipedia, it brings it to a disambiguation page. But if you go to wikipedia.org/wiki/moon, it goes straight to the page.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Also, we were derailing really, really hard right now.
The thing is, right, it's actually kind of hard to understand what it says on here, because it says stuff like, the moon's orbit around the Earth has a sidereal period of 27.3 days and a synodic period of 29.5 days, and I'm like, whatever that means. It's tidally locked to the Earth. Oh, no, right. Right, yes, that means it's... Okay, I think you're right, which means that the length of a full rotation of the moon on its own axis is the same as the Sidonic period, resulting in its same side, always facing Earth. Huh.
Science. Astronomy.
Wait, isn't that just a matter of perspective, though? Whether it
What
rotates
exactly?
around itself or it is always facing the Earth, because it kind of is both. Depending on... No?
I don't think so.
If you look at it, it's always relative to Earth, facing the same way. If you put a string between the moon and the Earth, and you spun the Earth real fast, you would get the same result, right? No, wait, you wouldn't, because then it would always face the same point on Earth. That doesn't make sense. If you spun the string around the equator... Okay, imagine you put a groove through the entire equator. In that,
okay,
we put a steel cable, and then we spin that around that groove. Wait, that's not how the moon rotates around the Earth, is it? Forget everything I just said.
Basically, we're creating a yo-yo of the size of the Earth.
Should we colonize other planets? Oh wait, no. Do we need to colonize other planets? That was the question.
Yes.
Well, we asked the wrong question.
The original one.
The question is, will there be life on Mars? You know, us. Oh boy. So I think if we stay on Earth, then given our current trajectory, it might not look all that good. If we start getting like a serious colony going on another planet, that might actually make it so that people on Earth can actually sustain the Earth for longer as well, ironically enough. So not only is it good in case we destroy the Earth, but also we might have like less climate change on Earth if there's fewer people on Earth.
I don't know, like, I don't think we will have a sizable colony on another planet or planets anytime soon that can sustain it. Or moons.
Again, I think Europa was a good candidate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Europa is pretty good. Has a lot of water. But pretty cold, though.
I mean, yeah, but I think we would want a planet, a celestial body that is too cold rather than one that's too warm, right? Because if we're going to create an atmosphere and then a greenhouse effect, you know.
I guess, yeah.
Like, Sergej, we're really good at increasing the temperature of a planet. Of a planet's atmosphere.
Yes.
We're really good at that. Which is the whole problem. We're not good at preventing that, as a matter of fact.
Yep. But I guess, like, I personally think humans will survive climate change if we continue just polluting the earth.
I mean,
I don't think it's going to be pleasant, but I do think humans are going to survive.
Probably.
Just saying.
But it's going to still result in massive amounts of death for people that just are not capable of migrating away from, like, the disappearing land masses. Because space is going to get tighter, which leads to resource wars, which are going to be fun. Especially, again, for those people that can't really afford to defend themselves in the same capacity as one of us might be able to. So, I mean, consider the fact that Africa, for example, already isn't exactly the most resource-rich, and then they're going to have even more droughts. That's going to be fun. Meanwhile, on other places that are very densely populated, you're going to have the problem that when the sea starts creeping in, you get less livable area, and with the same amount of people, if not slightly more. Which, as currently, and it's like, that's going to be a problem as well. And so, it's going to be possible for us to survive this somehow, but also, we still have an environment where we can produce food, which is going to be one of the trickier things, especially because, again, droughts might be a problem, so we might have to rely more on either actively watering our farms at the very least, or even possibly, like, putting big domes over our farms or something, and actually having the entire thing be like an indoor system. And we might get to a point where with CO2, not necessarily because of the actual climate change, but because of there's a very specific amount of CO2 that humans want to be in the atmosphere from a breathing standpoint, because after that it kind of takes away some of our oxygen, and if you consider how much oxygen is in the atmosphere, it might not seem like having 1% less would be a big difference, but it is. And so we're going to run into a problem where it's at the very least not going to be very healthy to just breathe the actual air around us, to the point where we have to either wear masks that filter it, or have to like have oxygen tanks on us. And again, there's going to be people who can't afford that shit, who are going to, just by that virtue, have a lower life expectancy and a lower quality of life, which in turn makes it harder to create upward mobility, because now you're already in a disadvantaged position because you're physically less able than people that can afford to have respirators or whatever. And that is going to just further broaden the divide between rich and poor, which is very fun. Especially for the people that fall on the poor side, which, like, on a global standard, I think we still fall on the rich side, but on, like, the Western world standard, us personally might still fall under the poor side, so, you know.
Yep. I do agree with you. I'm just gonna mention one thing. It's not the lack of oxygen in the atmosphere that is unhealthy for us. It's rather the amount of all the other shit in there that's bad for us.
Well, okay, I mean, most of it is nitrogen anyways, which, like, 70% or something, which, like, that's just to be expected. The thing that we're mostly talking about is just the balance between CO2 and O2. And it's basically given that if more CO2 means less O2 and vice versa, in part because the CO2 is just the same as the O2, but with some C added to it. Very, very simplified. Like, if you burn something, then the oxygen plus the carbon in whatever you're burning is going to make CO2 and CO, but we don't talk about that. Actually, that's even worse. CO is actually even worse. Carbon monoxide...
A lot worse.
Yeah, carbon monoxide leads to carbon monoxide poisoning. Not fun. I don't think as big of a concern, though, for the wider atmosphere. I think we're mostly talking about CO2 there.
Don't do barbecue indoors.
Honestly, carbon monoxide was never our problem because we didn't actually make a fire.
Yep.
We've used electrical grills indoors. The problem there is that the percentage of grease in the air just significantly increases, which is also not fun. Just generally,
but it isn't as dangerous.
Well, no, but it's even nastier.
It is.
I cannot recommend. Just don't do it. Like, my eyes are burning after a while. It's not fun. Where was I? Right. So, and then plants take the CO2 and pluck off the C to make sugar and stuff, and leave and put the O2 back in the atmosphere again. Very simplified, but that's the basic idea of how the whole CO2 O2 thing works. Which is to say, the solution is just either make less CO2 or more plants. And Sergej, what plants are responsible?
A lot more plants.
Yes, and people are always worried about the forest, but what makes the most O2, or what does the most photosynthesis in terms of plants?
In terms of plants?
Well, I suppose photosynthesis generally. I mean, outside of plants, no one does photosynthesis, really. Like, which plant makes the most photosynthesis?
Aren't there, like, types of algae?
Yes, exactly.
That produce... Do they count as plants?
Of course algae are plants. Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
Dude, what else would they be? Bacteria? Mushrooms? Animals?
I don't think they're fungi.
No, they're not. Fungi don't do photosynthesis. That's their whole shtick. Not doing photosynthesis. Honestly, fun biology fact, right? But mushrooms are far more similar to animals than they are to plants.
Yep.
Like, plants have hard cell walls rather than, like, the more squishy membranes that animals have. Plants have... I was about to say mitochondria. The other ones. The ones that do photosynthesis, what are they called? Fuck! Sergej, what makes plants green?
No.
Chlorophyll. They have chlorophyll, and they do, which allows them to do photosynthesis. So there's two things about plant cells that neither mushroom cells nor animal cells have, and in both cases, the mushrooms are just like the animals. Now, in practical differences, animals tend to move. Mushrooms don't really walk. I mean, they grow in certain directions, but they don't really retract their roots and go in a different way. To my knowledge.
Well, aren't there like a few types of fungi that do that?
Last time I tried challenging you on the science fact, it didn't go very well, so I'm just gonna say sure.
I don't fucking know. Like, I've heard there are like plants, or like I'm gonna count fungi to plants.
Did I not just explain to you how they're more similar to animals than plants?
Yes, you did. Anyway. There are certain types of non-animals.
Okay, yeah, fair.
That kind of do grow like in different directions, and if one can't grow any further or doesn't find like food, in air quotes, they just retract that, like, what is that? Like, that path that...
Well, in a plant it would be a root. In a fungus, mycelium? I don't know. Mycelia?
Oh?
You're Googling, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Googling.
What do we call mushroom roots?
Oh, I'm not Googling that.
Oh no. He's
no,
going walking. He's looking up at walking mushrooms, and all he gets is the Mario Brothers names. Your princess is in another castle. Well, toads are mushrooms. Well, as in the toads from the Mario games.
Oh,
not
yeah,
Toad the animal. Toads the
Yes.
animals are kind of like frogs, but not really. They're amphibians though. Which means they're... Also, by the way, yes, Sergej, a plant is... Again, the comparison between like plant, animal, mushroom, and such are fair because they're on the same rank in like the whatchamacallit scale, the classifications. I think it's they call it families? No, wait, is it order? No, the orders are smaller. Let's see, plant. Plant are a multicellular organism predominantly photosynthetic eukaryotes of the kingdom Plantae. They're kingdoms, that's what they are. The scientific classification, there's another name for that. Scientific classification of living organisms is called taxonomy. That's the one. That's what I was looking for. Plants, animals, and mushrooms, as well as bacteria, and I think one or two others, are taxonomical kingdoms. Oh, and apparently domains.
Okay, so basically, a lot of different mushrooms have this ability, and the root equivalent of mushrooms is called hyphae or something like that.
What now?
Hyphae.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Huh.
So basically, and each species has a slightly different way to navigate their surroundings.
Which I think just adds to my point that the mushrooms are a lot more similar to animals than they are to plants.
Yes.
Though I would low-key love to see if a mushroom just kind of uprooted itself and started walking around. That would be kind of both fun and weird. Bless your heart. Sorry, that was kind of
Fuck off.
May God have mercy on your soul. Wait, there was something else. No, but I think the chance of us ruining a planet is definitely non-zero. And I haven't even talked about nukes yet. Which, granted, a nuclear war would likely not literally exterminate every single person on the planet, but it would substantially reduce our population at the very least.
True, and also make it harder for all the survivors of the initial impact and initial blow.
I was about to say the long-term environmental impact would probably also not exactly be helpful.
I mean, the radiation wouldn't last for so long. Like, yes, the first couple of weeks where the radiation is still circulating in the atmosphere, that's going to be dangerous. Like, after all that is settled down, it's not as dangerous as is usually portrayed.
What would be used for nukes? To use uranium or plutonium?
I think both.
Where does
But
it say? The half-life of plutonium is 24,000 years. Well, I mean, I suppose it depends on the molecule, but the isotope, but there. Yep. Oh, apparently the longest lived are plutonium-244 with a half-life of 80.8 million years. But yeah, they're like the shortest one that I can see has a half-life of still of 90 years. Oh no, wait, no, actually there's one with 14. Huh. That's actually not that bad. So the point is, I mean, I don't know which exact levels of radiation would be like the really dangerous amounts. So people always point at the half-life and be like, and are acting like everything before the half-life is bad, everything after the half-life is good, which half-life really just means that it's the time that it takes for the radiation to have. Which, by the way, if you logically extrapolate that, means that it technically never reaches zero, which is probably not the case entirely, but since there's always some level of background radiation, it might as well be. I mean...
So yeah, what I'm talking about is basically like, if you take Chernobyl, it's been fine for years.
Yeah, but that was
it's
uranium,
closed not because of the radiation. What?
That was uranium, though, wasn't it?
I think it was, yes.
And so, I think, if memory serves, the plutonium lasts longer, or I guess is more radioactive or something, I don't know.
Yes, but still, like how much, like, how long was uranium still radioactive? Kind of forgot the number you just read.
Oh, I just said something about, what was it? It was 27,000 years for one of the isotopes of plutonium, up to 80.8 million for the highest, 14 for the lowest. That was plutonium, okay. Uranium. Uranium isotopes have half-lives of, well... Oh, whoa. Most of those are actually longer. Huh.
Yep.
Well, to be fair, the one that has a synthetic abundance, I think that's what that means. Synthetic radioisotope is a radionuclide not found in nature. Okay, so that's probably not the most common one then. Oh boy. The most common type of uranium, if I'm seeing this correctly, has a half-life of 4.468 times 10 to the 9 years.
Dang. Okay.
Point being, nuclear war, not good. Please don't do it.
Yes.
And that is one of the many reasons why I would feel safer for the human race, but by logical extrapolation, not the rest of the universe. If there was humans on other planets or outside of Earth. Well, I mean, I guess there is humans outside of Earth, but like maybe outside of Earth's orbit would be nice as well, just in case.
Yeah.
Also, you could very clearly see how it would be useful to have humans on Earth. Say, hypothetically, if a wave of energy covered the Earth that turned everyone to stone, then you'd be really glad if you were on the ISS, and then you could like come down and like repopulate the Earth or something. And somehow your inbred descendants are still alive thousands of years later. Purely hypothetically. And perfectly fine. Where was I going with this? Right, in case there is a Earth-wide event that somehow is very devastating, like very slowly global warming or a lot faster nuclear war, then the people that are on a different planet, assuming that planet is completely self-sustaining, if they are reliant on imports from Earth, then that could still fuck them a bit over, would not feel it.
Or at least not feel it as much. Because they're probably still going to receive support from Earth.
it depends on whether it's worthwhile, right? So the further out it is, the more expensive it's probably going to be to ship stuff over there. And the more self-sustaining they are, the less valuable things that you could ship over are. And so the kind of the cost-value calculation changes. So they might not get a huge amount of shipments from Earth if they are fully self-sufficient. And especially if they're outside of our solar system, though, with our current technology, that's not exactly the easiest to get going. Though there have been some interesting experiments with alternative methods of propelling a spacecraft that might not take any fuel.
Actually, a few of those.
I can think of two right offhand, and the one I forget the name, but that was somehow based on like particles moving within it or something, so that it very slowly gains speed, but because of inertia, it would still keep going incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And the other one is solar sails. Those are the only two I can think of right offhand.
Solar sails, ion drive.
I think that might have been the one I was talking about.
Like the one you described.
Oh, is it not an ion? I don't know.
I think you described that other one.
It had a
thing that is enclosed.
Yeah.
Yeah, ion drives are not exposed; they just shoot electrons out the back.
Oh no, no. In that case, I wasn't exactly sure.
Not electrons, ions. That's what's called ion drive.
Makes sense.
Ion engine.
What is this thing called that I am thinking about?
I don't know.
It's
been too long.
Yeah, I'm currently trying
since I've heard of it.
to find where I might have originally seen it, because it's hard to just Google like spacecraft propulsion method. That's not a word, is it? The point is, we might be able to go very far in space, and if we can find a way to increase our speed indefinitely, we could get very close to light speed.
Yes. It's the EM drive.
Yes, that's the one. That is the one. The EM drive.
Yep.
I believe, wasn't there a thing where they kind of got it to work in a model? They got the actual principle to work, even though it doesn't really fully make sense that it would work, or something like that? Like, isn't it literally breaking some law of physics?
I think it is.
I love it.
Isn't it like the closed system thing?
Oh, right. Yeah, that might have been it. A radio frequency resonant cavity thruster is a device concept that is claimed to be a spacecraft thruster. It is purported to generate thrust by reflecting microwaves internally in the device, in violation of the law of conservation of momentum and other laws of physics.
Yep.
Oh my god. However, several prototypes based in its public description have been constructed and tested. In 2016, the Advanced Propulsion Systems Laboratory at NASA reported observing a small apparent thrust from one such test. A result not since replicated, okay? No other published experiment has measured apparent thrust greater than the experiment's margin of error. So there's been one experiment that seems to suggest that it works, but they couldn't replicate it, so the problem is, if you get a result once that goes against all laws of physics, and then everyone who tries to test it doesn't get that result, it's generally assumed that you probably recorded your data wrong. Or something like that. You made some sort of mistake. Because it's just far more likely. But if it works, this would be really good. And the fact that NASA is like legitimately working on this suggests to me that there's at least some sort of legitimacy behind it, because if it was just like an idea someone had and then everyone went like, ha, no, this is not going to work, then they probably wouldn't have looked at it.
Yep. Yeah, basically, I'm reading, the researchers have tentatively concluded that the effect they measured is the result of Earth's magnetic field interacting with power cables in the chamber.
That's
a result that other experts agree with.
So, in other words, it just might straight up not work.
Yes.
Which makes sense since, again, it breaks multiple laws of physics. So back to solar sails, I suppose, because those are pretty cool, and those work.
Yes.
I just don't think we've built any so far, but they would work.
I think we did a few smaller ones.
Have we? I mean...
Just to test them out. I think one space agency has done that at some point.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not keeping up...
Not entirely sure, though.
With, like, all of that, but... The point is it necessary for humans to colonize other planets to survive? Probably not. Is it safer? Definitely.
A lot safer.
Do we move on to the halftime show? Or do you have anything else
Probably, we've been on that topic for a while. Also, we've derailed it quite a lot.
Yeah, we barely talked about the actual topic because we were pretty much in agreement of how it was going to pan out. So we just kind of... I just kind of mentioned the reasons why we might want to do it, and then we just kind of talked about various space things that are like kind of related. And that brings us to the facts of the week. But first, yes, there was a cut here, and if you want to know why that is, wait for tomorrow, where we play GeoGuessr. Sergej, what is your fact of the week?
My fact of the week is one that you already know.
Oh.
And I know that because we've talked about it with Alex for like a couple of hours. But a lot of the viewers might not know that. That is that the Polish army had a bear. His name is Wojtek. And he served in the... Second World War, I think.
Ah, got all your facts straight. Well prepared as always.
Yes. I actually don't know.
I don't remember, man. It's been forever since you told me
it's been long ago.
It's not like you've just had all the time in the world to look this up. Yes, they had a bear that actually fought in the war. That, you know, as you do. You've heard of war elephants?
Pretty cool.
But bears, because, you know. I was gonna say because Russia, but, not quite. My fact of the week, right, I just looked at this a second ago, I don't know why I looked at it again. My fact of the week relates to something that's a little bit further away. Have you heard of the Easter Islands?
Yeah.
Do you know what they're famous for?
Well, isn't that the island with the faces on it? Like the big statues?
Exactly. But you say faces. I was kind of expecting you to say heads, but the point is, they're not just heads. The heads are just the only thing that's above ground. Those things also have torsos. Which, based on your nodding, you probably already knew. But it seems like one of those facts that not a lot of people are aware of. So there you go. The Easter Island heads, more like the Easter Island bodies, I don't know, people? Hey.
I don't know.
And for the halftime show, since we don't want to do something that's going to take us like 1.5 hours to do, we're going to play we're going to play something that's a bit more manageable. And I figured we are going to do something where we're going to see if Sergej maybe can become better at guessing.
Oh no.
Higher, lower. So yes, the higher, lower game. Classic. Sergej, what is more popular, child labor or Diana Ross?
I don't know, man. Who is Diana Ross?
God, I definitely have heard the name before. I don't right now know where to place her, actually.
I'm just gonna guess. I don't know. Higher.
I feel like with celebrities, you generally want to guess higher if the number on left is so low, yeah. Diana Ross or Nicki Minaj?
Another person I don't know.
Oh, really?
Great. Yes.
She is a singer? That seems like a stretch.
Well, I can tell by
she is famous for
image.
making music in which she vocalizes.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, she's a singer. Okay, I just because I don't like her music doesn't mean she's not a singer.
Higher.
I would guess so. Significantly, yes.
Oh yeah.
Nicki Minaj or Mozart? Come on, you know my guy
Probably
Wolfgang, though. Don't
even
you?
higher.
Is that your answer?
Like the first person I know, yeah.
I swear to God, he's a classic. He's gonna be lower.
It's gotta be lower. Dang.
Of course, it's gonna be lower. People these days don't care about my guy Wolfgang that much anymore. Okay, cartoons or Tesco? I'm gonna go Tesco.
Ooh.
Easy. Tesco Little Prince. I'm gonna go lower on Little Prince. Yeah. Singapore, probably higher? I mean, it's not... 100k is not a lot.
So.
Yeah, 2 million, easy. Pablo Picasso, lower. Easy, obvious. Santiago Bernabeu? Lower. Bret Hart, the Hitman himself, higher. Oh, come on!
Was that?
He's a wrestler! Oh, I suppose wrestling is not exactly that mainstream, especially since, well, he was a wrestler. He's not exactly active anymore. I think it was mostly around in... I think it was popular wrestler in like the 90s? Maybe 80s, more like. So, Sergej, I got 5, you got 2. Let's play another round and see if you can do better. Tattooist or Shaquille O'Neal?
Probably gonna guess higher since the left number is so low. But I don't know who that is.
He's a basketball player. Okay, Shaq or Skrillex?
Well, I can tell. Ooh, that is hard.
I feel like it shouldn't be hard, but...
Well, monthly searches, probably lower.
Yeah, I would say that, like, if you had asked us, like, 5 or 10 years ago, maybe higher, but I think at this point, lower. Never mind.
Okay, still higher.
Sergej, you now got a grand total of 3 points. I got 5, and I haven't even played my second round yet. REM or... Oh, I should actually say Rapid Eye Movement, because REM is also a band. Or Lost. I'm gonna go say that Lost is higher. That the finale sucked, though. The Monaco Grand Prix. Well, it depends, right? I assume that's only searched really whenever it's happening, which is like once a year. So I would assume that the average monthly searches are probably lower than 500,000. But yeah, there you go. 50k. Periods probably higher. Lots of people have them. Man on Wire. One of the greatest heist films of all time. Okay, so it's a movie. Seems to have a lot of... Oh! The Guardian, The Sun. Okay, so has positive reviews from relevant places. Yes, I'm actually using the image to my advantage. I would still say lower. I haven't heard of it. Yeah, it's probably old. The Bourne Ultimatum, I'm gonna say higher. That's a more recent movie, probably. IBM,
I think it is.
higher, definitely. Superman. I gotta I gotta say higher. I gotta.
Probably higher though. Yeah.
Okay, bonus points for the fact that he recently got a new show, Superman and Lois. It's actually the best Arrowverse show airing right now. So twice as much runabout. Melania Trump, probably lower. Who cares? Oh fucking hell, people!
Woo!
I got 7. It's not that bad. So Sergej, do you want to do one more round, or do you want to call it here?
One more round.
Want to redeem yourself? I like the spirit.
Yes.
Luxury hotels or nanny?
Probably higher. Like, not a lot of people search for luxury hotels.
Nanny or Moses?
Oh, come on. Gonna guess lower. Higher though.
I would say higher, but yeah, it was higher, Sergej. You got a point.
Yeah.
You're now up to a total of 4, which means if I do as well as I have before, I might manage to get more points per round than you got in total. I guess that's my challenge. Google or BMX? The fact that Google has almost 1 billion Google searches brings up questions. Lower, obviously, but Jesus. Law school. Lower. Yes, not a lot of people going to law school. Visa, higher. Let's see. Epic rap battle. Ooh. Epic rap battles of history! I'm gonna say lower, because people probably are gonna look for them on YouTube. Yeah. Jeff Bezos, higher. Obviously. Morocco, lower. It's a tie. Judo. Ooh. Seems very specific. I'm gonna go lower. If it was karate, I might go higher, but I think judo, taekwondo, those are not as internationally well known. Or at least not as popular. Triple X, huh? I'm gonna go higher. Easy.
Dang.
Coachella Festival, well, I would suspect this to be in the millions range, not in the hundreds of millions, so I'm gonna go well, not even. Neil Diamond, higher. Sweet Caroline. Super Mario Run, I think it's the mobile game. I'm gonna go higher because Nintendo is huge. Blueberry Wine, lower. That was not even close. SpongeBob SquarePants, obviously higher. Also not close. So, lower than I thought. Houdini. My guy, Harry Houdini. I'm gonna say lower. It's close. Sheldon Adelson. I don't know. Based on image, I would say televangelist. I'm gonna go lower. Yes. Citizen Kane, higher. One of the most popular, one of the supposedly best movies of all time, critically speaking. Tom Hardy, I'm gonna say higher. 100k is not a lot, yeah. Famous actor, of course. Bank of America, probably lower. Oh, never mind, my bad. Only got 17 points this time. Sergej? You are very good at this.
Should switch up the order in which we go next time.
I'm pretty sure we have in the past gone different orders, but I'm in the top 10% of players. Or rather, this is probably in the top 10% of rounds having been played, because they probably don't keep track of... Although they do have a high score per player, so maybe. Though that would still be based on cookies and whatnot, and not necessarily be reliable. Point being, you suck at this game, and apparently I'm getting better and better at this. You got 4 points. I got 29. Dude. I've got an average of about... 29? Yeah, of about 10 points. Why was that so hard? That shouldn't have been so hard. 9.67. I was briefly distracted by the fact that 28 is 7 times 4, and then I was like, wait, we only played 3 rounds, though. No. This is not relevant math here. point being, that was fun. Sergej, second topic.
Yeah. Zombie apocalypse.
I was about to say, we talked about how we could prevent the death of the human race. Now, we're talking about how we might survive during the end of the human race in, of course, what is commonly accepted to be the most likely apocalypse scenario in the world. Not actually. Zombies.
Yeah.
How would we survive, Sergej? How would we, of all people, survive this?
Like we specifically or humanity?
I was thinking how... So, I mean, you can go at this any angle you like, but I was thinking how would we... Or just how would a hypothetical person best try to survive? And I was thinking this hypothetical person could be me and you. Well, those, respectively.
Yeah. Probably. Just go to a farm nearby. Just camp there.
Yeah, I mean...
That's probably mostly it.
It's a start. I would say fencing is important. So either it is already fenced in. I mean, you probably still want to reinforce it. You probably still want to have a proper wall. But I mean, it goes beyond that, right? You might have to go out to get certain resources that you can't get inside. If you, for example, have a diesel generator, you need to get some gasoline. Well, diesel. I think gasoline is like a catch-all term for anything you can put in your car that is like liquid, right? Bob says maybe
I don't know,
maybe
actually.
oil, but I don't know. The point is, right? Diesel generator or something. You might have a reason to leave your base, in which case you still have to have a bit of a strategy. And bonus points for using us as examples would be that we do not live in the United States of America, as most of you are probably aware. Meaning, not everyone has a gun. As a matter of fact, most people don't. I know not everyone in the States has a gun either,
True.
but like, if it's a zombie apocalypse, as long as you don't live in like a really bougie neighborhood, you can probably find some guns somewhere. I guess no. If you do live in a high-class neighborhood, you're probably going to get into the point where there's people that go hunting for sport. So, you're probably going to find something in the States, like... Listen, right? If you're in the States, and there's a zombie apocalypse, and there's like nothing preventing you from breaking in places, you're gonna be able to scrounge up a gun. So, around here...
Very true.
around here, you definitely have to search much longer. I mean, there's still people that have guns, but... Actually, I might have an idea for guns. There's a shooting range or something nearby, actually, so I don't know if they have guns there. I would assume they do.
Probably. But would they be like actual real guns?
Well, I mean,
Instead of like
rifles. I don't know what kind of ammunition they would shoot. I don't know if they would be useful to killing zombies, but point being, we might need a melee weapon. Or I suppose we could try to make bows, but that sounds... I mean, the basic concept of how a bow works is really simple. And bows are better than guns in certain ways because they're quieter, and the reusability of ammunition is higher. Even if not 100%, but it's definitely higher. You're not gonna just pick up, like, a shell and a bullet, and gonna just, like, stuff it back in together and just shoot it again, right? You can reuse arrows. Problem being,
True.
It's probably not that hard to manufacture a bow. A workable bow. Arrows are probably the harder part to get to the point where, like, you get an arrow that actually flies straight.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah. But you could try out, like, spear-type arrows just from, like, a wooden stick.
Yeah, a sharpened wooden stick, but I think you do need some like, I think there's a proper term for it, but like some feathers or something at the end, right? Like something to...
Actually, not too necessary. Like from what I've seen, at least. I'm not an expert. I don't know.
They definitely stabilize the trajectory, so
Yes, it's gonna make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's 100% necessary.
And the nice thing about arrows is you don't actually need tips for them because you can just sharpen the wood. Not as deadly, which is kind of like if you're trying to... it also depends on how, like, what kills a zombie, right? Because arrows might not be as effective depending on how they're killed, especially if we're using a regular, like, handmade bow. It's probably not going to have as much force behind it as something like a proper crossbow or something. Or even a proper regular bow if it's like a compound bow or something where you can actually, like, have quite a bit of force behind it. A lot of draw weight, as it were. I was thinking... I know what the perfect melee weapon is, but I don't know where to get one, okay?
What is it?
It's obviously a katana. Okay, here's the thing, right? What you have to consider with the zombie apocalypse in those scenarios is how does the zombieism get transmitted? And in a lot of versions, you don't want to get zombie blood on you, right? If you don't want to get zombie blood on you, you would need a weapon, and you would probably want to have a melee weapon, even if you have ranged options, because close quarters gunfighting, and especially bow fighting, is not exactly... Though I guess you could stick people with arrows, but... So you want something that can slice. You would preferably want something that can behead, because, again, zombie stereotypes. And you'd want something that doesn't have a lot of blood splatter going towards you. Clean cuts. Fine blade. A lot of accuracy. I have been told that katanas are a really good zombie apocalypse survival weapon.
Might be true. I don't know.
I mean, if you get like
what I do know,
if you get an axe, it's gonna get stuck. You have to pull the axe out. That can kill you, right? Like, knives are useful, but they don't have a lot of range. And getting an actual medieval European sword, I mean, they're heavier.
Probably even harder.
They can also get stuck. I mean, everything can get stuck, but I think the katana might actually be optimal. But again, Europe. And I guess we gotta raid some weeb's basement. Sergej?
Yes, I don't have a katana. But I actually do know people that have, like, unsharpened katanas at their home.
I mean, listen, right? Sharpening a sword, like, we can make that happen. All you need is, like, some stones. Specific types of stones, preferably, but...
Yeah. Also, gonna mention that I do know a few people that are hunters, so we could get guns there too.
Okay, in terms of guns, the only thing that I can think of that I definitely know is one of my uncles is a police officer, which, like...
Saves.
Useful, but also he doesn't exactly live around the corner, so...
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's like... Well, I know someone who has a gun, and who knows how to use it. And who are probably not going to be able to reach during the zombie apocalypse, because distances get a lot more difficult. I know a specific place where we could theoretically go, though that doesn't have any crops yet. But also, I don't necessarily need to go too specific, but remember where we used to go camping?
Yeah.
Fenced-in area. You already got some horses there, which are the single best method of travel in a zombie apocalypse. You got big areas of grassland that could probably at least partially be retooled as farms. You've got a building. You've got power generation off of a renewable resource, my dude. Though I think it's broken right now, but you know we could have a look at that.
It's been broken for a long time.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Point being, I mean, there's another broken thing there that generates another type of power off of water, but that's more of a mechanical energy. I was thinking of the turbine. But, well, I mean, there's a water wheel.
Well, yes.
But yeah, I was thinking of the word of turbine mostly because electricity is pretty nice. Also, there is a fresh water well there. Because that's one of those things that people sometimes forget. You need water, and you're not going to have running water. And rivers and lakes are not exactly optimal. Because you probably need to filter your water. Granted.
Probably also boil filter.
Yeah.
I think that's mostly it, yeah.
You can set that up, and it's definitely doable, especially the more people you are, the more you can split up tasks. And one person could definitely clean water for plenty of people. So, in that sense, but having a natural water source, like a spring of some sort, that is known to be drinkable is really helpful, I would say. Because that way you save yourself a lot of time and energy, both personal energy as well as actual heat, if you want to boil it, of actually making use of your water. We might even be able to fish there. It depends, it's a bit seasonal, but sometimes people put fish in the pond.
I think, there were fish in the pond.
But that's probably not it's probably not a self-sustaining population, so that's like a limited resource. It's
probably not.
It's not long-term helpful. But the fact that I have this place that I can think of that has pretty much everything we need, well, most everything we need. The only thing we really need is renewable plant life, as in edible plants, which aren't exactly there, but I mean, again, we have a lot of grassland there, so in case there's ever a zombie apocalypse, Sergej, you know where to go.
Yeah.
Which, again, not very likely, but...
Only thing is that there's like 2 towns nearby.
Yes.
Which is kind of dubious.
But A, it's not directly in town, and B, you're still doing way better with the towns than you would do with cities or something. Like, around where we live currently, there's a lot more people than up there, for example.
I guess, yeah.
And so, comparatively speaking, that's relatively good. And, again, like, defenses, I don't know how good they are gonna hold up, because electrical fences are probably not gonna be electric during the apocalypse, and the little bit of wire is not gonna stop the zombies. But the front gate is at least gonna be holding, so you could make a smaller perimeter at first.
Yeah. I can see that.
There's a relatively major road going by nearby, which means there's probably some cars to loot. Again, if you need something like gasoline. Or just metal. Dude. Cars are probably good to strip for metal for, like, barricades and stuff.
True, yeah.
And if they're close by enough that transportation is not a huge issue, as in transporting the goods, that could be something. Oh, did I mention that there's, like, water running around big chunks of the property as well, making like a smaller natural barricade? You know the front, I mean, again...
I've seen, yeah.
Of course,
I've seen it, but it's not a lot of water.
Yeah, I'm describing a place that you, of course, all don't know, but, like, I'm explaining why it would be good so that you can also think of hypothetically what a place like that would be for you. So I feel like this still makes sense to talk about. I mean, it's not a huge river or anything, but just the fact that the terrain isn't very straight might mean that it would at least slow down possibly oncoming zombies. And if you're on the rooftop, you actually probably can look quite a distance where there's no trees on the way, so we would already have a good... So you have a lot of things. You have multiple buildings as well. Well, buildings, sheds mostly, but you have multiple sheds and an actual main building. You have a relatively easily defensible position, and because of all the grassland around it, you actually can see relatively far until you actually get into anywhere where there might be zombies. You have what did I say? Right, the horse. There's some horses there, which would be usable mode of transportation. You've got running water, clean water. You've got electrical power generation. Like, there's a lot going on. Like, if there was already crops growing there, it would basically be the perfect place, and maybe a tad bit more remote.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I can agree with that. It's way, way better than all the places I thought of. Even though I was there like a couple of times already.
Yeah, to be fair, I at first thought that it would be the perfect place to survive a zombie apocalypse. Or, well, not the perfect place, but the best I'm aware of. I thought about that like at this point, I want to say 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. So I I have been thinking about this. Like, not it's not like it's always on my mind, but like kind of every time I talk to someone about like hypothetical zombie apocalypse survival stuff, like I bring it up usually. Like I have this easily defensible position with like everything.
Yeah. Very, very true.
Any other ideas of how you would want to survive the zombie apocalypse?
Well, add a couple of spike traps around the place, and I guess that's mostly it, though.
Dude.
Or make a drawbridge of that like main entrance.
Yeah. I mean, the idea is not bad, but you'd have to tear down the concrete bridge that is already there. But one thing that actually spike traps you mentioned, it's actually good that you the river would kind of lend itself as it like is naturally a bit lower than the rest of the terrain, so you already can put spikes down there, and then just put something above that you step on, fall down. I mean, depending on how intelligent zombies are, they might not even have to hide them that well.
I'll probably not even hide them because it's already kind of tough to navigate.
Also, humans.
Like at least the ones in the water.
Yeah.
It's already kind of tough to navigate. You can fall down easily.
Brings up a good question. What would your strategy be when it comes to meeting other humans?
Probably like if I see someone, probably gonna stay hidden for a while just to observe them, see what they're up to, and then decide what to do.
Because I always feel like the obvious answer should be cooperation, but that only works if the other person is willing to cooperate. Because you're talking about a dwindling human population, you want to have your group be as large as possible, in theory, as long as you can sustain it with the resources that you have. But if you invite someone into your group, just without knowing anything about them, the risk of them just stealing some of your resources and disappearing, or starting to kill people, even worse, like, exists. So, it's always kind of that problem. I low-key would be interested in a zombie apocalypse just for the fact that I would like to know how well my theories work. But also, I don't want to actually live in a zombie apocalypse, so, that's the other thing. But, I mean, I would assume we're in agreement that killing zombies is fine, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because there's always that moral dilemma that people bring up, like, what if we can cure it? And it's like, A, once they're literally falling apart, there's probably not much curing, and B, even if we can cure it, it's still more important that the people that are currently not affected stay alive. And then if we find a cure, we can cure whoever's left.
Yeah. Also, if there is a possibility for curing, doesn't mean that there's at least somewhat aware of what is happening.
Huh.
Like the people that turned into zombies.
I mean, I would assume that zombies, generally speaking, are probably relatively mindless and are driven by their hunger or whatever. But...
Well, yes, but if you can cure a person, I'm assuming you're gonna cure, like, the actual human being. You're gonna remember things and all.
Oh, God.
That stuff.
Yeah, so you're saying they're gonna remember the time as a zombie, which is always fun.
Maybe. Potentially.
It's like, oh, God, what happened?
They might even be... like, depending on how you want to spin it, they might be even, like, somewhat conscious while they're zombies but can't control themselves or something. I don't know. Which is also not good.
Yes, that would not be great. Oh yeah, I suppose it would be one of the easiest ways to actually conceptualize the zombie virus, right? It blocks the connection between your higher brain functions and your base functions, so that you're only functioning on base instincts. Combine that with some sort of additional resilience to hurt by, like, I don't know, being less susceptible to pain or something, and you pretty much already got a pretty good zombie recipe.
Yeah.
Yikes. So yeah, zombies. I feel like the problem is, right, I have this whole idea of, like, holding up in that place and defending from there, but the chance of me being able to actually survive long enough to get there are probably not very great.
I mean, you can get there on one with a full tank of fuel in your car, right?
Of course, yeah, you can. I guess that would be the best bet. Just, like, pack up everything that could be useful, put it in the car, and just drive. That is assuming that all roads are clear and everything, and of course, I think I have an idea which route I would take, because I would not take the route I would usually take. I'd rather take another one that is about the same length, but is going through a lot fewer population centers.
Yeah.
Because...
Very important.
Also traffic, again, because if zombie apocalypse movies teach us anything, then that is that there'll be a bunch of abandoned cars on roads, and sometimes you will just not be able to get through. And getting out of the car to try to clear the road is possible, but dangerous.
Very dangerous. It's probably a lot safer to just drive off-road.
Yes.
Than to clear away.
Yeah, but also
manually.
If there is, like, those freaking... What are they called, anyways? The freaking railings on the side of the road that...
Oh, yeah.
Like, that, for example, would be problematic for going off-road, because... I mean, I'm not saying everything has them, but there's, like, that, or, like, forest on both sides of me. Like, there's definitely scenarios where you can't easily go, like, around the road.
Tough. You could, I think, try to, instead of moving cars, like, out of the way, just go to the frontmost car, or one of the frontmost cars, and see if you can get in there if it has enough fuel.
Yeah.
If you can.
Works if it's unoccupied, as in some scenarios, like, zombies, some people just randomly turn into zombies, and so you'll have, like, zombies sitting in a car or something, which is like, I'm not going to go anywhere near there.
Yes, always check the back seats.
Mm-hmm. That
I don't remember which rule that was.
I don't remember which one either. But rule number 2 is double tap, which is also very...
Yes.
Which once again tells you that all Americans have guns. Yeah. Watch Zombieland if you haven't already. Those were good.
Pretty good.
I was going somewhere with this, I feel like. Oh yeah, right. So A, that, and B, if you have cargo in your car, if you, like, grabbed some stuff at home, as I said, before getting going, you would have to then also put that in the other car, which might still be faster than trying to clear all the other cars off the road. But again, if they still work, you could just drive them to the sides. That would also not take very long either.
Depending on how many cars there are.
I mean, yeah.
Also, you'd have to get into a lot more cars, exposing you to more danger.
Yeah. I guess that's also the main thing that... I mean, we talked about a lot of things, but at the end of the day, like, make sure you've got a renewable supply of the most important resources. Renewable or infinite, right? Functionally infinite. Like, water, food.
Yeah.
Mostly water and food. And then don't get into any additional risks, right? Like, minimize risk whenever possible.
Yeah.
Man.
Also, weapons.
Yeah.
Self-defense, very important.
You could argue that falls under minimizing risk.
Risk management, yeah.
Walking around armed versus unarmed. Armed is less risk. But again, I try to go with very broad rules, but weapons is definitely good. Like, be armed, preferably with both a ranged and a melee weapon. Ooh, spears. Spears might also be good melee weapons. They probably
slingshots.
Ooh, slingshots. So spears are going to be probably bad at killing zombies, but if you're only facing one or two, they're going to be really great at keeping them at a distance. Because if you spike a zombie on a spear that you're still holding on to, like, they're not going to be able to get much closer to you.
Spear, they can just walk towards you.
I was about to say that
just impale even more.
Fuck. The problem about zombies is like it would be perfectly fitting for like the stereotypical zombie to just like actually like just keep walking. Like, oh, I'm being skewered. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, humans wouldn't do that.
No.
Most
no, they wouldn't.
And again, it depends a lot on how you can kill the zombies, right? If it's like the typical like just beheading, destroy the brain sort of thing, like beheading, headshot, it's like difficult. If they still under the hood function like normal human beings, and you can like stop their heart or like pierce their lungs to the point where like they're just gonna have difficulty breathing, that's gonna be a lot easier, right? So it depends, because then if heart is also a point of weakness, then a spear might be able to pierce that, kill them that way. But again, spear is one of those weapons where you have to like then like push the thing off with your foot and pull the spear out or something, which if you're surrounded is not a good move. If there's one or two, you can like, if there's fewer than there's people preferably, and especially if there's fewer than there's spears, you just skewer them all and then worry about the actual killings and stuff later. But then again, where there's one zombie, there's always more, because herd animals. I feel like we kind of went over most everything, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, another thing about slingshots is you can just pick up pebbles everywhere.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Like infinite ammunition.
Also, worth noting...
Learned that one from Neo Scavenger. Pretty good game. Recommend you to play it.
Also worth noting that not all slings are two-handed. There is such a thing as one-handed slings.
Yes, you kind of have to spin it around a bit.
Yeah, exactly. You like
learn to aim.
You like twirl it around and... Which, those, I think, are more difficult to operate than like a traditional like pull it and shoot kind of slingshot. But I think they end up having more force oftentimes, though it depends on the elastic band that you have in your slingshot for how much force that one has. And they're one-handed. So you have a free hand. Never underestimate the usefulness of having a second free hand. I suppose if you're operating at a larger distance, you might not be as necessary to have one, but... It would low-key be fun to actually make like a short mini-series about like zombie apocalypse survival stuff, where we actually like try to make certain things, like try creating a bow, making a sling and all that stuff, but also that seems like a lot of effort. And
a lot of effort, and we'll probably fail.
I mean, that is not even like the worst part, right? It's just as long as it looks good on video, as in like we can film all the right perspectives and like end up like doing all of our time lapse and all that stuff correctly. Like, it's fine if we fail, because the idea would be, can we, not we will, right? But again, that sounds like it sounds like one of those fun videos that I would like to watch, which is why I would also kind of like to make it. But also, I know a lot of the stuff that would go into making that would probably not be that fun. Then again, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be that much more difficult than one of those backyard shenanigans videos, right? Which, granted, also went a lot of work into, but...
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I kind of just said that rhetorically, but now I'm thinking at some point in the future when we can we could get together and actually maybe try making that happen.
We should actually do that. Can you write it down, like after the podcast?
I certainly can.
Pretty cool.
Sergej.
On one thing. Wait. One thing though. A really, really good thing about slingshots, at least here in Germany, is they're not considered weapons. You don't have to have any permits or anything to own one.
Right. There's also a guy on YouTube who makes videos about them.
Yeah, I've had 2 colleagues at work kind of were into them. And that's how I know that you don't need any permits or anything to own them. And they are pretty, like, they do have a punch. Like,
yes.
Seriously.
Again,
they are pretty dangerous.
I kind of alluded to it. There's a guy on YouTube called Jörg Sprave. He also calls it the Slingshot channel, but I think the actual channel name is just his name. Who makes videos about slingshots. He's German, but his videos are in English. So, like, y'all be fine. But... Wait, that doesn't work. Y'all will be fine. Yeah, no, doesn't...
Oh, yeah.
I was, like, the double L's, I was like, you'll, but I said y'all, which doesn't work. Anyways, y'all will be fine. Ha. If you want to watch it, I'm gonna see if I maybe I'll like put up a thing. Yeah, Slingshot's crazy. Is it Song of the Week time, Sergej?
Think it is.
Sergej.
God.
What is the Song of the Week? It's a surprise every week.
Yeah.
We never know the segment is coming.
Gotta go.
It always hits us out of left field. Yeah. Go on.
I'm gonna go with Russian song again. Yeah. The song title is Звенит январская юга. Не, вьюга.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have an artist?
Gonna see if I can find a translation of that. What?
Does it have an artist as well, or?
Yes. The artist is Nina Brodskaya.
Okay.
Boy, goodness. See if I can find that.
I love how Sergej definitely needs a translator to translate Russian into English. Because, as we all know, Sergej doesn't actually speak Russian. Or something. Like, what
yeah. So apparently the song is translated as January Blizzard.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's from a movie that I first didn't recognize because in English it has a pretty different name than it has in Russian. And the name in English is Ivan Vasilievich, Back to the Future. It has nothing to do with the Back to the Future franchise.
Okay.
It's just translated that way. Because if you translate the Russian film title, like word for word, like, or accurately rather, it is Ivan Vasilievich changes profession. Also, Ivan Vasilievich is like Ivan the Terrible.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, my song of the week also has a story to it. And this time,
Yeah.
so some of you might be aware that Alex sometimes shares music with me. I think Sergej as well. But and so I recently was
A lot
going
of music.
through some of the songs that Alex shared with me, and I heard a song and I was like, I remember this. This is a good song. I like this. I heard this a lot back in the day, and then I was like, wait, something about this is off. And so I found out that what Alex had sent me was a cover of a song that I had known, but I'm going to pick the original because I like the original better. And my song of the week is... Wait, I know what it is. It's The Boys of Summer. I don't... Stop looking at your notes, JJ. By Don Henley. Point being, good song, old song, 80s. Listen to it, hopefully in this video, if it doesn't get blocked. Otherwise, I'll probably put an info card somewhere up there.
Yes.
And also, I would reckon that if you are still watching this video, you probably enjoyed it somewhat for some reason. I don't know. Taste is weird. Give it a like, because why are you watching this after all? Subscribe to the channel for more, and also, GeoGuessr tomorrow. Subscribe. You don't want to miss it, or, I mean, you probably do, but, also next week's podcast. So, there is reason to subscribe. If you want to talk to us, there is a link to our Discord server in the description below. There's a bunch of our fans hanging out there and discussing stuff, mostly Hearthstone, but also other stuff. You're probably going to find something to talk about. And you can mute the channels you don't care about, so you don't have to do the Hearthstone stuff if you don't like the Hearthstone stuff. Do I have anything else to say?
Like,
comment, subscribe. Oh, yeah, right. Leave us a comment with whatever. Zombie apocalypse survival tactics. Why we should or shouldn't colonialize other planets. All that stuff. Sergej.
That's it.
That's it.